Mr. Sherman Studio.
Hey young leaders, Mr. Sherman here. Today we're going to learn how the 5 themes of geography help explain how we learn about Earth. We have a cool picture there and a little word blurb says, the bridge over the Zambezi River at Victoria Falls separates the countries of Zimbabwe and Zambia. The 5 themes of geography. These are location, place, human-environment interaction, movement, and region. Each is a different way of discussing or describing an area. Location. Most geographic studies begin with learning the location of places. Location can be relative or absolute. Relative location. Relative location refers to locating a place relative to other landmarks. For example, you could give the relative location of St. Louis, Missouri as being in eastern Missouri. It is along the Mississippi River southwest of Springfield, Illinois. As one drives along most highways, there are mileage signs. These show the distance to the next town or city. This information expresses your current location relative to the upcoming place. Say a highway sign states that St. Louis is 96 miles away from Springfield. In this instance, you would know your relative location from St. Louis. Relative location is also a term that is used to show a place's location within a larger context. For example, one could say that Missouri is bordered by Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa. That is the relative location of Missouri based on its location within the United States. Absolute location. Meanwhile, absolute location references a place's exact spot on the Earth's surface. This is based on specific geographic coordinates. These are also known as latitude and longitude. It is a system of imaginary lines. They are used to find the location of any place on the surface of the Earth. Based on the previous example of St. Louis, the absolute location of St. Louis is 38 degrees by 43 degrees north latitude, 90 degrees by 14 degrees west longitude. Some computer programs like Google Maps use data from coordinates to give us directions to places. One can also give an address as an absolute location. For example, the absolute location of St. Louis City Hall is 1200 Market Street, St. Louis, Missouri, 63103. By providing the full address, you can pinpoint the location of St. Louis City Hall on a map. Place. Place describes the physical and human characteristics of a location. Physical characteristics. These include a description of such things as the mountains, rivers, beaches, climate, and animal and plant life of a place. A place might be described as hot, sandy, or forested. These terms all paint a picture of the physical characteristics of the location. Human characteristics. These include the human design features of a place. These features include languages, religions, government systems, and common foods. For example, a location could be described as a French-speaking democracy. Human-environment interaction. Humans shape the landscape through their interaction with the land. This has both good and bad effects on the environment. For example, people living in cold climates have often mined coal or drilled for natural gas in order to heat their homes. For example, in that during the 1700s and 1800s, the city of Boston had huge landfill projects. In other words, they filled in water with land to make more places for people to live. This helped humans, but may have hurt the ocean life. Movement. Humans move. A lot. In addition, ideas, goods, resources, and communication all travel distances. This theme studies movement across the planet. The immigration of people from Syria to other countries during war is an example of such movement. So would be the growth of cell phone reception around the Earth. Regions. We use regions to divide the world into helpful units so we can study their geography. Regions have some sort of characteristic that unifies the area. Regions can be formal, functional, or vernacular. Formal regions are those that are created with official boundaries. Cities, states, counties, and countries are examples. For the most part, they are clearly marked and publicly known. Functional regions are defined by their connections. For example, the area where a newspaper is delivered in a city is a functional region. Vernacular regions have no official boundaries. Vernacular regions are often named because of shared history, culture, or identity in an area. People name them to understand place. Think the South, the Midwest, or Silicon Valley. However, some region names came from biases. For example, the Middle East, Near East, and Far East were created by European geographers hundreds of years ago. They only make sense geographically for someone standing in the middle of Europe. That actually brings us to the questions for this text. For question 1, we have read the section place. Select the sentence from the section that shows what the place theme of geography represents. A. Place describes the physical and human characteristics of a location. B. A place might be described as hot, sandy, or forested. C. These terms all paint a picture of the physical characteristics of the location. D. For example, a location could be described as a French-speaking democracy. Question 2. Read the following paragraph from the section Location. Absolute location. Meanwhile, absolute location references a place's exact spot on the Earth's surface. This is based on specific geographic coordinates. These are also known as latitude and longitude. It is a system of imaginary lines. They are used to find the location of any place on the surface of the Earth. Based on the previous example of St. Louis, the absolute location of St. Louis is 38 degrees by 43 north latitude, 90 degrees by 14 degrees west longitude. Some computer programs like Google Maps use data from coordinates to give us directions to places. Which sentence from the paragraph supports the conclusion that we use absolute locations in our daily lives? A. Meanwhile, absolute location references a place's exact spot on the Earth's surface. B. They are used to find the location of any place on the surface of the Earth. C. Based on the previous example of St. Louis, the absolute location of St. Louis is 38 degrees by 43 north, 90 degrees by 14 west. D. Some computer programs like Google Maps use data from coordinates to give us directions to places. How is the structure of the section Location similar to the structure of the section Place? A. Both sections explain the cause and its effect. B. Both sections are in chronological order. C. Both sections present a problem and its solution. D. Both sections are organized using compare and contrast. Question 4. The section Regions is mostly organized using compare and contrast. Why do you think the author chose to organize the information this way? A. To explain the different types of regions into which the world can be divided. B. To describe how particular regions around the world got their names. C. To present the different types of regions in order of importance. D. To highlight some of the world's most important regions. That actually brings us to the end of this video. I'll see you guys back for the next one. Have a good one.